Tomorrow is the day when you're going to want to buy the physical copy of the newspaper. You're going to want to buy it and fold it carefully, maybe put it in a little archival paper or parchment if you don't have that. Just put it away someday. You might, depending on how saucy you're feeling, you might want to just note, perhaps in archival ink in the margin of tomorrow's paper, note anniversary of Richard Nixon's resignation as president. People will get a kick out of that some years down the road. I mean, the reason you might buy tomorrow's paper is because if the world doesn't collapse into ash by then, your grandkids someday are going to look at that old physical newspaper you were able to save from August 9th, 2022, and they are going to goggle at the thought of what your life must have been like. They are going to goggle at the thought of what it must have been like for you to see something like this happening in your lifetime, in real time, for the first time ever in American history, having no idea how it would play out. Nothing like this has ever happened before, and we don't know how this ends. Tonight's news that the FBI has raided the home of the immediate past president of the United States, it feels both astonishing and sort of inevitable in equal measure. Before Republican President Donald J. Trump, we'd never before had a president impeached twice in a single term. We'd never had so many members of a president's own party vote not only to impeach him, but to convict him and remove him from office and bar him from ever serving in office again. We had never before had a president reject the results of the election that did remove him from office. We'd never before had a president summon his followers to a violent insurrection at the U.S. Capitol to try to stop the transfer of power to his successor. We had never before had a president who was known to tear up official government documents, whose chief of staff is reported to have burned government documents in a White House fireplace, which would be the most lurid document destruction we've ever heard of in any presidential administration, were it not for the fact that the former president himself has repeatedly been credibly accused of flushing government documents down a variety of nearby toilets. So even the burning them in the White House fireplace detail is frankly trumped. This is a former president who, unlike any other former president in the United States, is under active criminal investigation in multiple venues. He's under active criminal investigation in the state of Georgia. His lawyers are reportedly negotiating already with the Justice Department in Washington. Witnesses before a federal criminal grand jury have reportedly been asked about his actions. The reason the former president was not at his Florida home for today's FBI raid may, in fact, have been because he was in New York City in preparation for what we're expecting to be a sworn deposition from him very soon in a New York Attorney General probe investigating him and his family business on multiple allegations of serious fraud. That's a lot of firsts already. But today, the former president, Donald Trump, was the subject of an FBI raid on his home in South Florida. And historically, it's sort of, it can't be overstated. And I do think it is worth pausing and reflecting on the fact today that we do not know where this leads, that we do not know where this ends, that this is a president who recently, in recent months, has told some of his most rabid followers, not only that he's still the rightful president of the United States and has been forced out in some sort of unlawful putsch, but he's told them that if any prosecutor anywhere in the country makes an act of furtherance toward him, toward potentially prosecuting him for crimes, that he's promised his followers will take to the streets in unprecedented numbers for the kinds of demonstrations the country has never seen before. We don't know where this will lead in legal terms. We don't know where this will lead in historic terms. We do not know where this will lead in terms of the behavior of the former president and his supporters. And that is a moment that is worth appreciating in terms of us being at a historical nexus. It is amazing what we have been through with this guy. We have no idea where it goes from here.